Rest of a show plan, but if you want me to just play that again, tweet me and we'll discuss that. And if you do watch it again, pay close attention to Vice President Pence. Like, he sat there through the whole thing like a rock, no responses. Joining me to digest what we have just watched, former Republican Congressman David Dolly of Florida, who has left the GOP, and Democratic strategist Karren Finney, who is a senior advisor to Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign. Welcome to both of you.
Thank you, Alan.
You never know what you're going to get these days. At one moment in that discussion, I've watched it a few times now, Nancy Pelosi interrupts President Trump and says, "Don't characterize the strength that I bring to this meeting." David Dolly, there are a lot of people in this country who don't like Nancy Pelosi for lots of reasons, but she can do math and she can count votes. Something that Paul Ryan had difficulty with, John Boehner has difficulty with. That is one thing Nancy Pelosi does very well. She does bring strength to that meeting.
She does. And look, what Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer showed today in the Oval Office is they are smarter, they are more capable, they are more able politicians than Donald Trump. And as somebody who had questioned in the past whether or not Nancy Pelosi should again be the Speaker of the House, she owned it today. Welcome to the speakership, Madam Pelosi. She is going to be the next Speaker of the House without question. But also what we saw today, I think the country saw on display in the Oval Office, is a first branch, the Article 1 branch that Nancy Pelosi referred to, waking up. We have not seen that in 2 years. And what we saw today, honestly, for everybody who fought heart and soul to try to get a change in Congress, to bring accountability and actually just ask for divided government, for more responsibility, we saw that on display today. So to Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, look, they stood up to this president. But for every voter who worked very hard going into November 6th, congratulations. This was the day where you get to see the results of your hard work.
Karren, Nancy Pelosi's not going to be a thorn in Donald Trump's side or a splinter under his fingernail. She's going to be his worst nightmare if this is day one, if this is the first meeting.
Well, that's because the truth is a nightmare for Trump. I mean, the two things that I think were so important about what we saw today is, number one, it's true, I agree with the former congressman that they sort of outmaneuvered, if you will, President Trump, but that's because they went in there with the agenda of the American people. They went in there very focused, and they had been paying attention to what the election was all about. What was the majority of what Americans told us just a short time ago? It was about healthcare, it was about jobs, it's about this economy. And so they went in there very focused to have that conversation, and it was clear that Trump was focused on this political stunt. He was being, and Nancy also was, Pelosi as well as Schumer have also made it clear they're not going to sit there and just let him lie. And some, Republicans have done that. They have, you saw, one way is to do what Pence did and just sit there and say nothing. We've seen other Republican members of Congress just stand there when he lies. And Pelosi and Schumer made it very clear that with them at the helm, we're not going to get away with lying, and you're not going to get away with not listening to the American people. Let's remember that $1.7, I believe it's $1 billion, has already been allocated to the wall. And one of the things that President Trump lied about right there is one of the projects has already gone from a cost overrun of an estimated $445 million to over $780 million. So in addition to some of the things that you pointed out, Allie, that are untrue about the wall, it's already facing cost overruns, and they haven't even spent 6% of the money that's already been allocated, and he's saying he's going to shut down the government over that?
So David Dolly, the Washington Post introduced bottomless Pinocchios as a description for Donald Trump when he keeps making the same lies over and over again. And I can correct them, and other people can fact check them, and lots of people do. What does the president get out of that? Because the things he's saying about the border wall and border security are provably untrue, yet he says them. So are there some outlets that just report that? Are there members of the people in the base who just, they don't care? They're going to listen to what he said despite the fact that it's not true?
Look, there are those who will believe him regardless of what he says, but there are also those who will respond, and they're among your low-intensity voters, if you will. They care more about their family and their church and their workplace than they do politics. When Donald Trump says build a wall, secure the border, that actually works, and we can't overlook that. There was a nuance today in the meeting between Schumer and Pelosi and Trump that I think Democrats would be wise to follow, and it's this. When Trump said, hey, we've had a successful last year, let's just continue that. And Schumer said, okay, we'll give you that. In budget parlance, it's called a continuing resolution for 1 year.
Right.
That means we'll keep funding what you did for the last year, but we're not going to give you the $5 billion. That's a very safe place for Democrats. Allie, I've been through 20 years of shutdowns. There are no winners in shutdowns. There are only losers. Democrats have lost in the past. Republicans have lost in the past. The safe space for Schumer and Democrats is to say, let's keep doing what we've done the last year, Donald Trump.
Well, actually, in this point, though, Schumer and Pelosi did give 2 offers to the president, both of which would have included continuing resolutions, and he refused. Instead, he acted like a child and said, "No, I'm going to shut it down." And so the other thing politically that they did accomplish, whether they meant to or not, at one point it seemed like Pelosi and Schumer were the ones trying to, shut it down and save this man from himself and save the country from having to see this embarrassing scene. But they did make that offer, and he again said, shut it down, shut it down. That's, he made it very clear. They made it very clear that they were going to, let's be honest about the numbers when we're talking about what's already been allocated for border security. And I think that's something that Democrats agree we need to talk about, and money has been allocated for border security. But if you're going to say you're going to shut down the government because you want more money when you've only spent 6% of what you've already been given, and you're going to sit there and lie, you've now got people who are going to stand up to you and tell the truth to the American people, and he's just not going to be able to get away with, lying. Just because he has it written down on a little flashcard doesn't make it true, and people know that.
I counted 5 times, or maybe more, where Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi offered to have this conversation in private or not do it in front of the cameras. The president demurred. David, great to see you. Karren, thank you for being here. Thanks for both helping me through this. So the question is, what's the opening gambit when the newly empowered Democrats take power in 23 days? Incoming House Democrats